Happy St. Patty's Day, everyone. This is Pete from North Shore Nosh. Everyone's Irish today, and today we're going to tackle boiled dinner. My good friend Dave Spinney made this for St. Patty's Day, and it was so flavorful. And I asked him for his recipe, and he was kind enough to give it to us. The thing with boiled dinner is that we're going to add flavor to the meal, and this is what really takes it over the top. In my first video, I talked about taste, tenderness, and appearance as the three pillars of food. In this case, taste is going to trump all the other two pillars of food, because if it doesn't matter if it doesn't look good in the plate, and if the tenderness is a little off, it's fine. But if it tastes like garbage, this dish is going to fail, and you're going to end up throwing in the garbage. So where we're going to add flavor for this is we're going to sear the corned beef. We're going to add great stock for braising. We're not really going to boil much here. And we're going to add pickling spice as well. And this is going to add all to the flavor. We're going to sear the corned beef in our Le Creuset pot. We could do a crock pot, but it's not going to be, we have too much time now. We have to actually get cracking on making a dinner. So I won't be able to use my crock pot, which I really love. Part of adding flavor to our dish is that we basically put a little salt and pepper on a flat section of a corned beef. And by the way, for you economics people, $15. You can get it at any store. With all the vegetables, it's going to be about $25. So our next step is that we're going to sear this corned beef in this hot pot with a little bit of olive oil. And then once we're done with that, then we remove it. And then we're going to make a mirepoix, as they would say, which is a couple of stalks of celery, carrots, an onion, and then we added a little bit of garlic. We finished searing, just a little bit of sear on our corned beef. Now we put in our mirepoix, or as I call onions, carrots, and celery, and a little bit of garlic. And we're going to saute these until they're soft. You may want to add a little bit of olive oil. I think we burned off a little bit off in the pan. So this is going to cook for about 8 to 10 minutes. We've cooked our mirepoix, or onions, carrots, celery, and garlic, for about, I don't know, about 8 minutes or so. We have a bit of a fond, or it kind of looks like it's burnt actually at the bottom, but it's not really. Next step is we're going to take a quart of stock, and in this case I actually have some goose stock from a cook I made a while back, and we're going to deglaze the pan, which basically means we're going to try to get all that nice cooked thing on the bottom off as much as we can, trying to get off all that burnt goodness off the bottom of the pan. This is, again, another layer of flavor for our dish. And you really don't want to, but I think that's enough for the stock, because I don't want to make a soup out of this. So we're going to kind of get this boiled down a little bit, get it nice and warm. After we've deglazed the pan a little bit, the stock is warmed up. Next layer of flavor, 2 teaspoons of pickling spice. Put it in here. We're going to nestle our corned beef, fat side up, back in our little broth. And then it goes in a 275-degree oven until the internal temperature of the corned beef is about 190 to 200 degrees. I decided to check our corned beef because it's a smaller piece. And before I said probably 190, 200 is an internal temp that you probably should target. I decided to go a little bit higher, probably 203, 204. Because brisket is kind of a tough meat. It needs the connective tissue needs to break down, and it's probably safer than sorry, better than pulling it out at 190. So we're about ready now. Look at that. It's beautiful. Now basically what we're going to do is we're going to pull this out and let it rest while the rest of the dinner is put together. Probably going to put that under foil for a little bit. Loose temp, just to keep it warm. Next step, the only boiling that comes with this recipe is you're really just boiling the vegetables. We have potatoes, we have parsnips, and we have carrots. So we're going to put it in the nice broth that we've been cooking that corned beef in. And the whole idea is that we're going to get this to boiling until they're nice and tender, probably about 10 minutes. Whoa, it's been about 13 minutes. Our vegetables are tender. Our next step is now we're going to pull these out. We're going to turn the heat off. And we're going to leave that braising liquid in there. The next step is very important. We're going to add the cabbage, but we are not going to boil it. It's just going to sit in the liquid for about 10 minutes to soften. But if we boiled it, it turns it into. I basically took a whole head of cabbage and I just sliced it. We're going to stick this in the liquid, stir it up, take it off the heat, and now we're going to stir it up. And get that liquid into the cabbage. And if you did use chicken stock, actually your liquid's going to be a lot clearer than mine. I used smoked goose stock here. But we are actually going to take that off the heat and let it sit 10 minutes. Now it's time for us to try our New England boiled dinner on the St. Patty's Day up here in New England. We have beautiful corned beef, been resting for a while. I'm going to grab a couple of vegetables. Some turnips, carrots, and then we're going to grab our cabbage that's been braising. It hasn't been boiled. And then always have to grab a little bit of liquid. Thank you for joining us on North Shore Nosh. Say happy St. Patty's Day, everybody.